Okay, we can see that. We can see you and we can see your screen.
Rachel Christie, Capstone, the non-pharmacological approaches for dementia patients. And just to clear up any confusion, non-pharmacological means any non-medication approach.
Rachel, can I interject right?
Yes.
Your voice is coming across very muffled and I don't know why that is. There's an echo effect there.
Okay.
It might just be some
Better.
instability, but if you move a little bit closer to your computer, that might help.
Is it better right now?
It's still muffled.
Tell you what, Rachel, why don't you log out and then log back in again and see if that helps.
Right. Better right now, or is it the same? Is this better?
Say something else.
Is this better?
It's a little better. It's
Okay.
yes, that's better. That's better.
That's definitely better.
That's better. Okay. Sorry about that. There's a problem with a lot like the meeting. Hello, my name is Rachel Christie. My capstone is on the non-pharmacological approaches for dementia. And by non-pharmacological, I mean non-medication approaches. I'll start with some general information about dementia. So dementia is a general term for any loss of cognitive function and behavioral abilities. The prevalence or rate of occurrence of dementia worldwide is 50 million. The proportion of the general population age 60 and over with dementia at any given time is 5 to 8%. The most common types of dementia are Alzheimer's, accounting for about 60 to 80% cases, vascular dementia, Lewy body dementia, and frontotemporal dementia. Some factors that increase risk for dementia include age, family history, ethnicity, or heart conditions and brain injury, amongst other health conditions. So these are the major subtypes of dementia. There's about 10 other subtypes. My research focused on the non-pharmacological approaches for treatments. So to start, I first researched what exact pathways were being affected in each type. And from that, I was able to target the effects done by that damage on certain pathways and to place specific treatments or therapies to prevent or treat the symptoms or effects of those damaged pathways. So for Alzheimer's or AD, neuropathological hallmarks or ways to diagnose Alzheimer's is mostly the accumulation of plaques composed of amyloid beta peptide and intraneural accumulation of neurofibrillary tangles, or NFTs. So people refer to these hallmarks as plaques and tangles. You can see that on the MRI scan, which I'll show. And it causes brain degeneration or atrophy, neuroinflammation, and overall cognitive decline. The next type is Lewy body dementia, or DLB, and that's characterized by movement symptoms, delusions, and REM, sleep disorders, and overall autonomic nervous system disorders. And it's Lewy body focuses more on movement other than memory loss, like all the other dementias are usually characterized by. So many people with Lewy body have a hunched posture or rigid muscles or trouble starting movement. The next type is frontotemporal dementia, and that's characterized by more of behavioral changes than memory loss. It's usually an inherited disorder, and usually patients with FTD show behavioral and personality changes. And it's also characterized by atrophy in the frontal and temporal lobes of your body, which is the front and the side. The last one, vascular dementia, is characterized by changes in the blood vessels that feed the brain. So the inadequate blood flow impacts thinking. So patients have trouble with their neural system, and it's described as vascular cognitive impairment, or VCI. This image is quite plain, but it was helpful in seeing the defining characteristics of each type of dementia. So these letters in order stand for vascular dementia, Alzheimer's, Lewy body, and frontotemporal. And underneath are the associated neuropathological features of each. So I'm not going to go through each one because it goes quite in depth, but so these pathways or mechanisms of action really help to target what went wrong in each type of dementia. So I could target therapies and treatments to that. So I have a couple of MRI scans. If you don't know, MRI scans are used to see mostly structural changes in the body, especially in the brain. So I'm going to start with comparing the normal, which is in the first column, the normal brain scans. You can see there's full tissue and everything is really defined and structured. So the next image right next to it is FTD, or the frontotemporal. So you can see, like, the arrows are showing degeneration in the front and side parts of the brain, and also in the middle, where the two hemispheres connect, is also very degenerated. So there's a lot of effects that stem from that difference. And the bigger image to the right is vascular dementia. You can see how the black and the white matter is very fuzzy, and that's due to poor blood supply. So a lot of that becomes sort of necrotic or dying tissue, which obviously has a lot of effects. These two images, the first is the Lewy body dementia, and I have it right next to the Alzheimer's MRI because they both show atrophy or degradation and some vascular changes. So you can see in both of them, the gray and white matter is very fuzzy and the lines are very unclear. And that's due to the cells dying because of lack of blood. So since I focus on pharmacological approaches, these are the available treatments through medication. So for Alzheimer's, current treatment includes medications like memantine or ribostigmine or galantamine. which all regulate certain substances in the body to protect the nerve cells, which contribute to memory, attention, language, and ability to perform daily tasks. For Lewy body, there's cholinesterase inhibitors, antipsychotic and antidepressant medications, and they work by regulating levels of chemical messengers and neurons, and they also treat symptoms like depression, which is very common in all types of dementia. For frontal temporal and vascular dementia, there's no specific treatments, but the medications that they give to these patients treat symptoms. So especially for vascular, that usually is caused by underlying conditions like hypertension or high blood pressure, diabetes, or hyperlipidemia or high cholesterol. So this is a major part of my project was the non-pharmacological approaches. And these are the major types of approaches. And there's a lot of things that fall into each category. So exercise and motor rehab or occupational therapy can help with types of dementia that cause muscle atrophy or degeneration of muscle, and it can help with coordination. So that's a major thing that's targeted on that is a result of dementia. It's usually caused by cell death and atrophy. So working those muscles, like even your brain muscles, can, like your neural system, can really prevent the onset of symptoms. So exercise and motor rehab is a major therapy approach. The next, cognitive intervention. So that increases cognitive function, and it can involve activities that stimulate thought, memories, or senses. So these, again, work out the neural system and help to build connections, and can give strain to the neural system so it's not as easily degraded when onset of dementia. Another major one is stress management and psychological therapy, which manages a lot of the common symptoms between all the dementia subtypes, which is anxiety and depression, like conditions. So that can involve counseling sessions or group socialization, or incorporating any fun activity or sports or exercise to your daily routine, just to improve quality of life. And it can really have a big impact on like how the patient presents their condition of dementia. And multi-component and multi-dimensional strategies refer to like a combination of a lot of these approaches. This is slowly introduced to patients because a main goal of treatment for dementia patients is to lessen the stress and like environmental demands or any sort of thing like that. So slowly a patient will be introduced to like several of these approaches, and that can help it target symptoms like depression or the cognitive function or the physical ability realm of symptoms. The next major category is complementary or alternative medicine. And this can entail treatments that involve like medicinal herbs or like Eastern medicine, changes in your diet, and or even I just had a paper on CBD and whole cannabis and how that there is developing research and how that can either ease the symptoms of dementia or even delay the onset. The last, which involves aromatherapy, music, and art therapy. This is the a very common therapy to use with dementia patients because it's the easiest and there's not that many negative impacts from this kind of therapy. It really just relieves stress, it promotes individuality, and increases quality of life. And all three of those things are major things in all dementia patients. So this was taken from one of the papers I was referring to, and collectively all of the data that I've collected kind of show the same outcomes. So you can see that exercise and motor rehab reduce BPSD, which is a behavioral psychological syndrome from dementia, and also improve like ADL, which is activities during daily living. So those are major improvements. Cognitive intervention, improved function, enhanced performance in similar tasks, and improve the general function. Occupational therapy improved daily life, social participation, and quality of life is what QOL means, as well as depression, and relieved caregiver burden was another important component to treatment in dementia patients. And you can see there's similar effects from all the rest of the types of therapies. And those are my references.
Meg, would you like to start with questions, or should I go first?
No, I can definitely start. So Rachel, I find this, I actually find this topic so interesting. My dad had Alzheimer's, and my sisters and I, who thankfully are all local, were able to play a big part in his care. I'm curious, of the non-pharmacological interventions, is there something that is pulling ahead right now? I know that the research is ever changing, but is there something that's pulling ahead right now that you think is, a remarkable, there's no cure, but is a remarkable solution at the moment?
I think the most important approaches are the motor rehab and cognitive, because those are the major components of life that gets really affected by any type of dementia. So things like little activities for them patients to do, it's really beneficial. During my research, I remember there were these computerized tests that were given at the same time every day. So that helps with routine, which also helps with stress. And that really improved cognitive function and really delayed any severe onset. So I think that's the most effective treatment right now is cognitive and motor.
Okay, interesting. And I guess my next question is, where does this fit into your, I guess, personal and professional goals long-term? Does this reside in one particular area, and is this maybe like a personal mission of yours?
So personally, my grandmother was also affected by dementia. I'm not sure, I was too young to really know what type or how it really manifested, but I remember, even though I wasn't directly affected as much as my mom and her sisters and brothers, I really saw the effect it had on family members. And since it's so prevalent, almost like a huge majority of the population goes through it, either knowing someone or going through it yourself. And it's very, very prevalent. And I think it's definitely something, as well as like lifestyle things, it's really important to treat it and like and no one's really immune to it. Anyone can really experience dementia in their lives. So I think it's a really important topic and should be part of like the normal routine in a lot of clinical appointments and like treatment prognoses. Professionally, I remember I shadowed a doctor when a couple months ago, and I really appreciated how she dealt with her patients with dementia and how she implemented all these approaches. Because all the other doctors I shadowed, they really glossed over it and didn't really pay attention to it. And I think it's a really important thing to improve your patient's quality of life instead of kind of watching them disintegrate, basically. I think it's really important.
Yeah, I think it's really important too. And I think that we spend so much time on the beginning portions of life, which are important, the beginning stages, but we don't do a very good job as a society of focusing on late in life and end of life care. So I agree with you. I really enjoyed that. Really interesting topic.
Thank you.
So Rachel, it's my turn to ask you a couple of questions. So I think of the 4 types, you said that Alzheimer's is the most prevalent. And interestingly enough, that is also, according to your slide, it is the type that has pharmaceutical medications that presumably either mitigate the symptoms or hold them in check. I don't know what those medications do, but so why is it, do you think, that that is the one of the 4 types that has led to the development and availability of normal pharmaceutical medications, and whereas the other 3 haven't?
It's definitely a lot to do with prevalence, and a lot of the other, besides Alzheimer's, the onset is very late in life, and it could be developing throughout a person's life as early as 40 years old. But you don't really notice until it manifests in a very severe way. So a lot of people don't know that they have either Lewy body or frontal, temporal, or vascular until it becomes too late. And then at that point, you think about the quality of life of the patient, and maybe sometimes they would not benefit from any medications. But Alzheimer's, the onset can range, but since it takes over a lot of population or cases, and there's early signs of Alzheimer's, I think that focuses importance on medication, especially early.
Okay. So I was interested also, I was going to ask you the same question that Meg asked, which is where you see future developments, research developments leading, and of course the short term and long term, but I assume that the healthcare research industry, the research aspect of it, must be investing a lot of resources in coming up with well, usually pharmaceutical responses. So I assume that, you know, if you were confronted with, as a practitioner, if you were confronted with somebody who presented with Alzheimer's, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I assume you would prescribe the pharmaceutical response, but you would also do these other things, right? I mean, there's no reason why you would do one, not the other, right?
Yeah, I think, especially not even just like dementia, but a lot of other conditions are usually used in combination with either usually a pharmacological approach and a non-pharmacological approach. So hopefully the combination of those 2 can, like either or both or combination, can help that patient, and you can kind of go on from there. But yeah, I definitely would make sure to implement any any and all, as many non-pharmacological approaches, because a lot of times you don't really deal with the negative side effects of non-pharm approaches. So I think focusing on that could really benefit the patient, especially since most doctors would rather just give you medications and see how that goes first before trying other things.
One specific question, and that is, you in your list of non-pharmacological responses, you had listed cognitive intervention, but you didn't say what would come under that. I mean, what sorts of interventions are you thinking about?
Cognitive intervention, I saw a lot of approaches using the computerized tests, which involve a lot of like memory or language or grammar type of practices. One specific one I saw was a fill in the blank type of like a Mad Lib sort of activity that allows a patient to think of certain words or specific like adjectives and stuff. So that really reinforces that neural system involving speech and behavior. So yeah, it's usually a lot of times they're using a lot of computerized tests and activities right now than not computerized, especially for cognitive, because it's easier to reach patients, and developing some sort of tech ability, especially in older patients, has at least like minimal tech ability, has also reinforced that neural system.
Okay, well, that's you know, since, as you point out, a big portion of the population is going to be affected one way or another, whether it's themselves or a close relative. This is obviously an extremely important topic. So this is something you've explained why you got interested in it. Would you say, as a result of doing this project, I assume you would say, but I'd like you to say it anyway, that you've become a lot more knowledgeable about the topic, and that knowledge will, you know, will help you as you start to think about what you're going to do after you graduate?
Mm-hmm. My focus actually changed a lot. I thought I was gonna learn a lot about medications, and I did, but I kind of transitioned from like being comfortable with medications and kind of putting more importance on non-pharm, because I don't know, medicine has so much research and so much stability in that research that everyone's more comfortable with medication. So before starting this project, I wasn't really thinking of non-pharm as a very much more important as pharm approaches. But now I feel like this is something I'm going to implement in my personal and professional life. Yeah. Oh, I think you're unmuted.
It's nice to hear you say that. Okay, it was a great presentation. Thank you very much. And I don't know if there's any other questions from anybody. No. Okay, so let's go to Tyler.
So Tyler left the meeting. I'm guessing he's trying to do something. There he is. I'm guessing he was trying to do something with his slides.
Okay, Tyler, you're up.
Sorry about that. Just getting my internet connection back.
Okay, you're good.
No problem.
All right. Of course it would crash on me. All right. Okay, so my capstone project was creating a cinema production company. It's something that I've kind of always wanted to do, but just never had the push to do it or whatnot. So this provided me that opportunity. The first thing that I had to do that anybody should do when, oh, I think I'm losing my internet again. The first thing that anybody has to do when creating a business is get a backup web camera.
So we can still see your shared screen and we can hear you, but we can't see you.
Yeah, my computer just froze up.
Well, you know, if I guess you can continue since we can hear you and presumably see your slides.
Yeah, so while I wait for my computer to come back up, so the first thing that anybody has to do when creating any type of company is to create a business plan. And when you're creating a business plan, it's very important that you define specifically what you want to do with your company. And that involves how you want to operate, how you plan to make money, what your market is. And you really have to decide if it's something that you can commit to long term. Most businesses actually fail because they don't take the time to create a thorough business plan. So in my business plan, one of the things that I had to decide is, did I want to operate as a sole proprietor, or did I want to be an LLC or a corporation or something else? And a sole proprietorship is what a lot of people that just start a business do. However, an LLC protects you financially and legally if there's any lawsuits or something like that. And I did choose an LLC because it would provide my financials situation protection in the future from any sort of lawsuits or something that might happen. And when we're talking about hundreds of pounds of camera equipment, it's always good to not have to worry about your home being taken from you. So with an LLC, one of the other benefits is in your tax structure. An LLC can take an S corporation tax structure. A C corporation is limited to pretty much corporations. However, the corporate tax rate is much higher. S corporations get taxed at the personal tax level. So the taxes like you or I would have to pay otherwise. And an S corporation, one of the nice things is you pay yourself a salary. So you're only, you pay income tax on the whole thing, but you only have to pay FICA taxes and self-employment taxes on what your salary is. So you end up saving a little bit of money there. So with all of that decided, I went to the New York State website, registered an LLC. Then you go to the IRS's website and you get an EIN, and then you have to go back to the New York State website, a lot of back and forth to file to get a tax certificate with the state. After you get a tax certificate allowing you to collect sales tax, you can then open a bank account. So a lot of back and forth, and then I was finally had a business with a bank account. And then the last two things that I had to tackle before officially being able to just start going out and working was a publication requirement, which is kind of an archaic thing that New York State requires that a lot of states don't. You have to publish that you have formed an LLC in 2 newspapers. So I published in the Rochester Business Journal and the Finger Lakes Times, I believe it was. And after that, they send you a affidavit of publication, and you send that with $50 into the state, and then you're good to go legally. One special thing that LLCs have to create that's kind of bridging the line between corporate world and sole proprietorships is you have to create an operating agreement. So that basically is a legal document that states what happens if I have a partner, what type of distribution each partner gets, etc. Not really something that I have to worry about at this time because I'm by myself, but in the future, it'll be something hopefully that I'll be thankful that I have. So then I had to come up with the equipment. When I first started this, I didn't have any camera equipment. I didn't have a drone. I didn't have anything. So fortunately, I work as full-time at RIT, so I did have some income coming in. So I was able to buy a drone, which I've kind of always wanted regardless of this business with that money. And then what they don't tell you when you start a business is that nobody will loan a business money unless you are in business for a long time or you are making a lot of money. So everywhere that I look to get a business loan, they're like, nope, you can't do it. You haven't been in business long enough. So unfortunately, the financial protections that an LLC provide didn't really help me at this stage in starting a new business. And I distinctly remember family members in the past saying, you have to spend money to make money. And it's true. So I kind of played the system a little bit. I found a credit card through the company that sells all the camera equipment that I needed. And it reimburses you all the tax for your equipment. So I was able to actually open up a credit card, and I think I did about $8,000 on a credit card to buy all of the camera equipment I needed. And then I paid that off with a personal loan at a much lower interest rate. So that I basically got all of my camera equipment with $900 off. So if I was going to have to use my own money, I was going to do everything that I could to make sure I wasn't wasting it. So I bought, you can see in the picture here on this slide, I bought a Sony a7S III, which is what I was using as my webcam until it died. And I bought a stabilizer. I bought all sorts of lenses and everything to get going. The next steps were to create a website, a Facebook page, and an Instagram. I'll show you some of that here at the end of the slides part of my presentation. But I spent an entire afternoon. I created a website. As part of my degree, I've been learning a lot of marketing on how to do Instagram and Facebook. So that stuff wasn't a big challenge, but the website definitely was. My younger brother actually designs logos. So he designed this for me for free. So the logo that you see on the screen here is my official company logo. And then I started filming. And this was the part that I really enjoyed. All the business stuff is kind of just the hassle you have to get out of the way so that you're legal. And so to date, I actually haven't made any money yet. The downside is that you have to have a rather robust portfolio for people to want to hire you. So my girlfriend, you can see there's a picture of her here. And above it is her brother's YouTube channel. They have been wonderfully, helping me out filming. So we've done 4 video shoots to date, I believe, with the 585 Garage YouTube channel. And he does music videos. We're doing one coming up on the 3rd of this coming month. And we film, we go out for like 5 hours and film, and then I come home and I edit all the footage. My girlfriend has been helping me with marketing material. And then from there, I've actually gone out and I've had a couple of people agree for me to film them. I did a video on bipolar awareness, and I'll show you that here shortly. The last kind of thing that I've been tackling is advertising. And again, this goes along with my portfolio. And then Facebook and Instagram, just keeping things out there, interacting with the community. But Facebook also has paid advertisement. So I have been working on that, and also with Google. I don't really spend money on Google for advertising. I just don't like the advertising style. But I do use Google's search engine optimization and Google Analytics to keep track of traffic that comes into my website. So where do I go from here? Basically, I just need to keep producing content, honing my skills, marketing. I'm actually filming my first wedding in August. My brother's wedding's coming up, and instead of buying him a wedding gift, I'm going to do his wedding videography for him, and that will be a huge addition to my portfolio. weddings are a big thing for freelance videographers. They're starting to take the place of photography. So that's something that I'm really looking forward to doing. I've learned that basically in order to make money, you have to spend money. And results aren't immediate. It does take a lot of hard work. And most businesses fail within their first year because of this fact. But it really isn't as hard as it seems. There's a lot of great resources out there from the state's website and the IRS and other places that I found online that kind of walk you through it. And then you just do it. I found that all the things that were holding me back were just mental mind games with me, that if you just take things one step at a time, you can make your dreams come true. So that's the end of this. However, I do have some examples up here. So this is the website that I created. It actually didn't take me as long as I thought it would. I've been playing around with it, trying to make it look professional, and there's all the links to my social medias at the top of the website. And then this is my YouTube channel, and I'm just going to show a couple of videos. We'll start with this one.
My name is Jessica Leoy, and I'm bipolar. Sometimes I have major depressive lows that last days or weeks. I can't get out of my bed. My bones feel like they're on fire. Can't get myself to even eat or shower. Nothing has to be wrong either. I'm just dysfunctional. Then I swing the other way into manic phases where I can go days without sleep. I make impulsive decisions, poor choices, clean like crazy, and fixate on random things. Some days I feel extremely alone. I'm anxious at night, and I wonder what life will be like when I'm awake. Will I want to harm myself today? Will I struggle with suicide? I've lost so much to bipolar disorder, but I have also learned so much about myself and gained so much more. Today, I'm a PhD student in genetics with a BS in molecular genetics. I finished college, which most with mental health issues can't do. I am living alone and supporting myself. I have an incredible resume of experience, awards, scientific publications, and scholarships. I excelled in college as president of clubs and organizations, was a member of honor societies, the honors college, and was a college athlete. I am following those same steps as I established myself in graduate school. Bipolar is not an adjective for you to throw around. Bipolar doesn't mean I'm crazy or mean I have aggression issues at all. I want to educate others on psychiatric challenges and spread love and acceptance for those with psychiatric disorders. We are here and we are strong, and we are not alone. I am beautifully bipolar.
So that was one that I'm really proud of. This next video, how am I doing on time?
Come on, 11:48. So we've got 12 minutes officially.
Okay, I've got time for 2 more then. So this next video that I'm going to show was my most popular video to date. It was shared over 50 times and currently has 1,000 even views on it. So this one was one that I'm really proud of.
I am
for the final thing that I'm going to show, I really wanted to push myself and learn a little bit of 3D environment design. So this is what I came up with for that. What if you woke up one day and you were the only human on Earth? Alone, and a life you left behind. Will you miss me? Will you hear my name on the whisper of the wind? What if you woke and everything you ever accomplished, everyone you ever loved, was a fleeting memory of a long time ago? What will you do with the time you have left? How would you have changed if today you woke up and you were the last human on Earth? This is how it begins. So that's my presentation. And if there's any interest in viewing all of my videos that I have so far, you can find them on my YouTube page, which you can get to from my website.
Okay, Tyler, those videos are pretty wow effect. Very
Thank you.
impressive. I thoroughly enjoyed them all. That first one was the bipolar one. I mean, is that a friend of yours? I mean,
That's my girlfriend's longtime friend.
I see. And it wasn't, I mean, this is not a very substantial question, but I was just curious. It ended very differently from the way it began. I didn't get the sense of timing there. Was she talking about two different phases of her life, or was it just the same phase?
Two different phases in her life. That's actually a very subtle music change in there when she switches topics, but it might be a little harder to hear.
Okay, all right. Well, I thought that great work. I mean, I can see why one would be very optimistic about your business. So anyway, to your project. So there was a lot there, and I'm wondering how much of it was there before the semester began, and what all of what you've shown us was what happened this semester.
Yeah, great question. So actually, if you go to my YouTube channel, you can kind of see where the quality changes, where I was just filming a little bit. And then my first video titled the Sony A7S Mark III was where the project really took off with the class. Okay, all right. So I mean, what else have you been doing this semester? So actually, I'm only taking 2 classes, so that's how I have a lot of free time. And then I work at RIT from 6 in the morning until 2 p.m. So all of my afternoons are always free. And it does feel like some days I'm working a full-time job in addition to a full-time job, but it's more fun than anything else.
Well, that's good. I mean, you seem to have covered an awful lot of ground. I mean, and I've never heard anybody speak so positively of the state tax system.
I desperately do not like New York State. The only saving grace with New York State was their website was laid out so well. I was able to do all of the business registration in like 4 hours in an afternoon. But
okay, so one last concrete question, and that is, you talked about the advantages of an LLC over sole proprietorship.
Mm-hmm.
But what are the advantages of sole proprietorship vis-a-vis the LLC? Why would anybody choose sole proprietorship?
It's a lot simpler. You don't have publication requirements. You can just go down to your county clerk's office and say, "Hey, I'm starting a business," and you basically just go from there. And then at the end of the year, you just file TurboTax like you do normally, and You just say, yep, I made this extra, and you just pay taxes on that.
So it's like just in addition to your income. It's not,
Yep.
there's no business tax associated.
Right. Yeah. With a sole proprietorship, you are your business. With an LLC, I'm me, and my business is its separate entity.
Okay. And the big advantage of LLC is the liability protection, right?
Right. If my drone, obviously you see my drone flying around. If that were to fall on somebody and God forbid hurt them, I'm personally protected from a lawsuit.
Okay. All right. Well, I thoroughly enjoyed your presentation. Great job.
Thank you.
Meg?
Thanks, Stephen. So a couple comments, Tyler. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the diversity of what you've learned. So it was very clear in just even you talking about how to go about funding something like this, really the amount of research. You should know that Tom Golisano started his company on a credit card. So I think that was a really smart way of handling things, and certainly there's so much research and investigation clearly that you've had to do through every step of this. I'm wondering at this, so clearly this is something that's been going on for a while. I'm wondering about the opportunities that the pandemic has maybe given you. So I referenced my dad having Alzheimer's. We had to, we sold my parents' house this year. And one of the things that they included in there was, this 360 view of the house that was available on realtor.com, or, I can't remember the platform. So I'm wondering about opportunities that have come up as a result of the pandemic that you maybe are thinking of taking advantage of. And then lastly, we have a gap year fellow that's a couple years out, Jeremiah Grychek, or actually, I'm sorry, I'm pronouncing that wrong, Griska, who owns Mountain House Media. It's a local company and had very similar origins to you, and now has some contracts with RIT and some other companies, is a fabulous young entrepreneur that's really interested in helping other SOIS students. So I would suggest that you connect with him. He just bought a new space that he's offering tours of, because there is some VR that's also included in some of their production that they do. But I would just really encourage you, I'd be happy to make an introduction too.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you think you might be interested. But so back to the question, which is opportunities that maybe the pandemic has brought about.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I actually touch on some of it in the frustrating parts of it in my paper that I write. The whole housing situation that's going on right now. Normally, videography and housing is like, it's a new thing. It's like with weddings, the new thing, videos. Right. But even one of my coworkers had this experience. If people are listing their houses and people don't even care what they look like on the inside, and they're just buying them. So realtors, I actually have a good friend of mine who's also a realtor, and she says that it's a nightmare being a buyer, that you're competing with so many other people and they're waiving inspections and whatnot, but I digress. So that part of the pandemic has kind of been really frustrating because it's something that I want to do, but there's just not a demand for it currently. Another hardship that I found is it's actually really hard to give away things for free. And it's hard to wrap my head around still. I've offered companies that maybe are struggling to just come out and film something for them, whatever it is. And people either don't get back to me, or they go, yeah, we'll keep you in mind. And then they don't, even if I don't charge for my first stuff. So it's an obstacle that I'm trying to overcome, and I haven't quite figured it out yet. But there definitely are people out there like Jess, the young lady that I did the bipolar video on, where I asked her and she was absolutely ecstatic because it's something that she cared deeply about. So yeah, I don't know if that answered your question all the way, but that's my experience so far.
No, I mean, it definitely did. And I think, of course, along with the pandemic and some different opportunities are also the challenge of where it leaves our economy at the moment. So, I'm sure that's part of what you're dealing with. So if you're interested, let me know. I'd love to make the introduction to Jay, which is what he goes by. He's just, it's what you're doing sounded very similar to the Capstone project that he put together, and he's a few years out. So it would be really nice for you to kind of see the path that he's taken.
Yeah, absolutely.
And maybe get some shortcuts from somebody.
Yeah. So I have found just from watching YouTube videos of people doing similar things to what I would like to do, is it's all about connections and a little bit of luck with YouTube's algorithms deciding who gets to see what, but just producing content. Like after this meeting, I've got a funny video idea in my head that my dog gave me this morning. So I'm just going to go out and film and spend the rest of my day doing that.
That's great. Well, it seems like you really enjoy it. And I hope you'll keep us posted on how things go. I enjoyed the presentation and really was moved by the beautifully bipolar video.
Yeah,
Perfect. Yeah.
really. Very cool presentation, Tyler. So now I think, Rachel, unless you have any questions, no? Okay.
The presentation.
Okay. So thank you both for great presentations. And as I always do at this point, remind you that you have 2 papers due in a couple of weeks before you're actually done with this course. And then I think both of you are both of you graduating now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so lots of luck in your future, and hope you land on your feet very quickly. So thanks again. Great work.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
great
you.
job. Best of luck. Stay safe and keep us posted.
Absolutely.
Oh, Tyler, wait.
Yes. Yes.
Would you send us your website? I don't know whether you should that, but if you
Absolutely.
if you can put that, in your paper or something like that, because I would like to look at it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Yep.
Maggie, you going to stay on?
I'll be on.
Okay.